This is Carcassi Allegro, also known as the Tremolo Study, officially known as Opus 60 number 7. And it's in your book, the seminar book on page 33. Right at the beginning, right hand fingering, and this is why it's called tremolo, because this is tremolo right hand fingering. It's thumb, ring, middle, index. So that's, whenever that comes up, and it comes up a fair amount in this piece, you're going to be doing thumb, ring, middle, index. That's written in right at the beginning of your book also. So just keep that in mind. Whenever that comes up, when you have a thumb note and then 3 identical repeated notes in the melody, like later on in the piece, this comes up. Okay, so the rest of it really is going to be related pretty much to left hand fingering. So we're going to move to that and start things out, and I'm going to point out some things. There's a couple of different ways that you could be fingering this, but I'm going to give you pretty much the one that's in the book, and it works fine. If you find a logical alternative, we can talk about it, but I suggest you learn the piece this way. And keep in mind that almost certainly you're going to be asked to play this on your sophomore technical. So you want to learn this piece really well and maintain it all the way through the semesters until you get to the end of sophomore year for the sophomore technical. Okay, here goes. Pretty straightforward, and just watch my fingering. I'm going to go rather slow so that you can observe what the fingering is. You start with your middle finger there, and then in the second group of 16th notes, when you have the D sharp, you switch to this. Even though you still have, you could do it this way, but just go ahead and do it as written in the book. You start the measure, last measure on the first line this way, then switch to D sharp, and that is actually like the fingering that you have in a B7th chord, simple B7th chord, but you've got this going back to the beginning of the last measure on the first line. That sets this up, and your ring finger stays on that A all the way through here. It's still down on the same note, and here it changes. This is identical to the beginning. You can use your pinky or your ring finger on that F. In the book it's written ring finger. Either one is fine. Same passage here. Change to ring finger on the A. It goes a little different place here. Moving on. You shift here to middle finger for this little D minor chord, because that sets up your middle finger stays on the same string. Middle finger goes again, the same idea. Using the middle finger on the 4th string, keeping it there. That's kind of a funny little move where you stretch out with your ring finger and your pinky. It works. Okay, on the right hand now, I want to point this out. This is important because in order to speed it up, you have to have this clear. I've seen a number of students that they don't carefully work out the right hand fingering in this passage, and they start getting screwed up when they really speed this up. So this is in the right hand, middle finger, and you do a pull off, and then you play the next 2 notes with the middle and index. So middle, slur, middle, index, and that same slur, So that slur, pull-off, takes the place, if there was no slur, it would be. So instead of that, you have the slur, but you come back with the middle finger. We can go back to the left hand now. Actually, we'll come back to the right hand for a second. In measure 17, we've got what I was going to point out was in the right hand, when you have the D natural, you can do middle, index on the second string. What I like to do is the thumb there, because if you're skipping over the B note, it's kind of a little funny spacing. By that time, really, you could even use your thumb. Not too many students do this, but it would be acceptable to play your thumb all the way down there, because that's really a descending line. But if you want to stay with your index finger on the second string, no problem. But by the time I think you get to the third string, you probably want to use your thumb. Now we're back to the left hand. This passage is identical. Okay, measure 20. I want to point this out. A lot of people miss this. In measure 20, you have a G sharp, which is actually an eighth note. You've been going along and every other note was an open E. A lot of students miss that and they just play an extra E in there. You don't want to do that. Going into measure 20, the end of measure 19, you've got G sharp. So there is no open E after the G sharp like there is for so many of the other notes. Okay, we're going, this is identical to the beginning. The funny part, you want to memorize this as quickly as possible. You have to jump to this little passage here, ring finger, and then you cover those two strings, the third and the fourth strings, with your index finger, sort of a hinge bar there. So you go into it this way. I would suggest memorizing this as quickly as you can, because you have to land quickly. You come out of it with your index finger. All straightforward. Again, shift to 3-1. That's it.